Welcome to one of the most powerful wealth building and motivational episodes of Early to Rise Radio. I am Craig Ballantyne here with my friend Sal DePaola.
Hey Craig, awesome being here.
This is going to be great, dude. So let me know if I missed anything. You are the dad of two girls, 7 and 5. You're a full-time New York City firefighter. You have a 7-figure entrepreneur. You're an IPO stock salesperson. You're a former gym owner. You're a course creator, a speaker, and you're New York City's best amateur pizza chef.
I would say that. I would put my pizza up against anybody.
There you go. Do you make it at the fire hall quite a bit?
We don't make it there that much. We don't have the pizza oven there, but I make it at home.
All right. Well, it'll probably beat my my frozen pizza that I make in the air fryer. All right.
I'm gonna have to make it for you one day.
All right. Listen, we're gonna dive into some real deep stuff here. You ready to rock?
Ready to go.
I'm gonna go to the hardest question first because I've never asked you this before. Where were you on 9/11?
Oh, so on 9/11, I was actually, before I was at the FDNY, I was with the Department of Sanitation.
Okay.
I did 2 years with sanitation, and I just happened to be dumping my truck right across the river. Like it looks like you could throw a rock at it.
Right. Were you like in Hoboken, Jersey or something?
No, in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So I was in Brooklyn dumping my truck, and I actually went into the facility and everything was perfectly fine. And then as I came out, that first building was hit. And it looked like an explosion. Yeah. So we were all staring at the building, and that's when we saw the second one come in. But we didn't see a plane. It looked like a bomb. It looked like it just exploded. Uh-huh. So we were all basically just watching it from across the river and just couldn't believe it. Total disbelief.
And you were stunned. And then, what did you have to do? Were you supposed to go back into the city, or?
Well, I worked out of Brooklyn, so I had to go back to our garage in Brooklyn, and we still had a view from there, and then we actually watched the first tower come down from there. So
it was a very powerful, emotional day. Obviously, then you became a firefighter. How long after that?
It was 4 years later. So I happened to take the test right after that happened. They had a test that motivated me to leave sanitation and go to FDNY.
So that was the first time that you wanted to be a firefighter?
I had friends that were on. One of them actually was in the building and passed away on 9/11. And I remember a week before, he was telling me how much he loved it.
I see.
So that motivated me. I didn't really care for sanitation, picking up garbage. It wasn't my thing. So after him telling me about how much he loved it, and then when that happened, I was like, that's what I need to do.
Yeah. So you're one of the most resilient people I know. And we're going to talk about, you just recently had shoulder surgery and, you've got all this stuff going on. You've worked so many overnight shifts at the fire hall while building your side hustle. How do you stay strong in adversity and turn that adversity into advantages?
I always had it in me. I went through a lot from childhood. Mm-hmm. My father wasn't around for a long time. Mm-hmm. My mother wasn't always in the best situations, being alone and depressed. And over time, I just built up this, I don't know what you would call it, but
like a thick skin,
very thick skin. Mm-hmm. And
David Goggins calls it like the calloused mind, that you just get used to the adversity.
Exactly, and that just built it up over the years. And every time I went through something, I always came out stronger. And I've been through a lot. Every time I go through something, I just come out stronger and stronger and stronger. A lot of I guess I read a lot of self-help books too, and that helps make me mentally strong, And
what
I always
did
things like, Bedros always talks about doing hard things.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always did was, Tough Mudders and all types of races and challenges. When I owned my gyms, I would...
was it a CrossFit gym or you just like that style?
It was a CrossFit gym.
Okay.
Yeah. I would do things like, and I feel like these things always made me tougher mentally too. Yeah. We did a charity event for a local charity, and I was doing a burpee for every $1 raised. I wound up doing 1,120 burpees.
How long did that take you?
Over the course of about 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours. Probably one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. Yeah. But just to get through that mentally, people don't like doing 5 burpees.
Right, exactly.
1 burpee, right? So just to get through that mentally, that just builds my mental toughness. Every time I do something like that, I feel it builds my mental toughness.
And so What is it about it? Like when you say it builds your mental toughness, it just mean like you feel like you can take more adversity, or is there anything else?
I feel like I could take anything on. I could overcome anything.
Okay. And then, so what advice would you give to somebody who's like, well, that sounds good. I don't know where to start with that. I definitely need more ability to deal with adversity. What's the first recommendation you would give to somebody in that situation?
Start doing hard things.
Yeah.
Sign up for one of these races. Do some sort of challenge. You see things all the time now, and just sign up for something and do things.
What are some of those books? So you read a lot of self-help books. What are some of the ones that have the greatest impact on you?
Well, Bedros' book was great.
Man Up.
Man Up.
Yeah,
was great. One of my favorite books, and not to build mental toughness, but How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah,
was another book that just it just helps me deal with people and helps me get by.
What was one of your favorite lessons from that book?
I guess one of my favorite lessons from How to Win Friends and Influence People, I'm trying to think of a specific lesson, is just to treat people the right way, just to talk to people the right way, to say things in a certain way, to get people to really to get what you want, but also to get people to like you. I feel that's a book that everyone should read, that it should be required reading once you hit a certain age. I'm going to give it to my kids to read, but I think that's a life-changing book.
What were you like as a kid?
I went through phases.
You were born and raised Staten Island?
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess when I was before
so you're like all Staten Island kids?
Well, yeah. Yep. Before
Heck raiser?
Eventually. Yeah. At first I was quiet. Really straight A student.
Yeah.
Up until high school. And then high school, then I started hanging more with the cool kids and playing sports, and that kind of changed a little bit. And I was, one of the, I guess you could say, like a class clown.
Right.
Right.
So were you always like a funny kid?
I tried to be.
Yeah. And would you say that you...
Some people think I'm funny, some people don't.
Are you more extroverted than introverted?
So I'm like a mix of both. I can be really extroverted, and I can be really introverted. I could be the life of the party, or I could just be that guy that hides in the corner. It depends on the situation I'm in. I think once I really get to know people, you start seeing the extrovert side come out a lot more.
Do you find it difficult to go up and like start cold conversations with people?
I do. But for an event like this, I'm always out there talking to people and mingling, and I jump in, I dive in. Yeah. Right.
And then, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Not besides a garbage man.
So I always wanted to be a business owner. So my father owned businesses, and he was always in the construction field. Okay. My uncles that I hung around a lot, they were also in construction. So I always thought I was going to go that route, and that's eventually I did when I opened up my painting business. Oh, right. So I did construction, all types of construction my entire life. I wound up opening the painting business. Right around the same time I got on FDNY. Okay. And that was I had paper routes as a kid, but that was my first real crack at a business. Yeah.
So back to when you were growing up, you did have a tough family situation. You told me about it. What was the hardest part about it, and how did you overcome and get through that?
Well, I had 2 siblings younger than me. And we all had to look out for each other and take care of each other. And that's actually how I started cooking. My father wasn't around, and my mother, she had to go back to work, and she was in the depression for a bit. I started cooking on my own.
Yeah. Did you have like a grandma you learned from?
Yeah, my grandmother and my mother. They were both great cooks.
Got it.
Yeah. And then I started making, chicken, grilling stuff. And my sister used to call it my chicken inventions. I just used to start mixing stuff together, and it always tasted good. And I just had a knack for just putting stuff together.
And when did you get into the pizzas?
Pizzas was actually fairly recent, within the last 10 years.
And do you have like a backyard pizza oven, or do you just have one in the house?
I do have a backyard pizza oven. Okay. Yeah.
And so what's your specialty?
So I make a pie that it sounds strange, but it's everybody's favorite. It's butternut squash with a couple of different type of cheeses, ricotta, salad, mozzarella, and honey. Yeah. And jalapeno. Wow. It's actually...
Did you invent that one?
So what I do is I look at other pizzerias and what they're doing, and I take bits and pieces of each, like what I think would go good together. So I saw that somewhere, like kind of similar, and I made my own recipe for it, and that's a favorite. I also make one that's grilled chicken and hot peppers. That's also another.
I think you told me
pie.
about the butternut squash one. You're like, man, you got to try this one. I'm like, oh, that does. I mean, I would try that. I think I like that one. Do you speak Italian?
No. So that's one thing that I'm mad at my parents about. Uh-huh. My mother was born in Italy. She came here when she was 6.
Really?
And they spoke fluent Italian.
Yeah.
And they never taught us. I don't know why a lot of Italian families that came here did that. Mm-hmm. I mean, and, you know, like with Spanish speaking, they all speak Spanish.
Sure.
But I think they like to talk about us. So you would hear some Italian speaking, then you'd hear a name mentioned.
Yeah.
But I did pick it up I did take it in high school. Uh-huh. And when I went back to my grandmother to speak to her in Italian, when I learned in high school, she would look at me like I had 10 heads. Like, what are you saying? Because totally different dialect.
I see. Did you ever learn any Spanish?
No.
Okay. I was going to ask you which one you think was harder to learn. It was Italian hard?
They're similar, I think.
Okay.
They're pretty close.
All right. So today, let's fast forward to today. Man, you do everything today. You're still full-time at the fire department.
Yeah, I am out because of my injury.
Okay. But I mean, last year you were like...
Last year I was full-time.
It was crazy shifts. Mm-hmm. But then you for a while you were doing the IPO stuff when it was hot. And for selling IPO, what that means is Sal has access to people that want to offload their private shares before the company goes and does their IPO, and you sell those. And then you got into some of the wealth concierge stuff. Like, how do you manage your time and be able to do all that? Because the schedule that you had was pretty all over the place.
Yeah. So because of you, thanks to you, I learned how to delegate. Yeah. That's one thing that I didn't know how to do before.
Okay.
So I hired a full-time admin. That she's an ace. Yeah. She's amazing.
How did you make sure you hired an ace? Like, was there a specific process that you used to find the right person?
So she just kind of fell into my lap.
Oh, you got lucky.
I really did get lucky.
Okay. And
it was somebody that I knew that I was helping out with their business. They said, hey, I was looking for somebody. They knew I was looking. Mm-hmm. They said, I have somebody perfect for you. Okay. They introduced us, and she wound up being way better than expected. Okay. She's the type that goes above and beyond, which is hard to find because I tried to find assistants for her. I've tried to find other people. Yeah. And you see how most people are just they're not motivated. You have to basically tell them every little step on what to do.
Yeah. So what were the most important things for you to delegate that were getting in the way of you doing your higher income stuff?
Phone calls, calling clients, keeping up with clients, making sure they get their paperwork in. She wound up getting to the point where she was even doing sales. I trained her to do sales, and she was just took a huge load off my back. Anything tedious as far as keeping track, keeping records. Yeah. We had a lot of Google Sheets going on that she was taking advantage of. She was helping me with getting paid, making sure that clients pay. She just took a lot off my back.
Got it. And then so, just back to the adversity side of things, like, you got 2 young girls, so they get sick all the time, and you get sick. And like, how do you get back on track when you get knocked off, whether it's something, kind of minor, like the kids getting sick, or whether it's, major with, you had to fight the fire department, during COVID and all that type of stuff. Like, how do you stay focused and get back on track when something derails you?
I always go back to meditation. Mm-hmm. I think it helps when I talk to you sometimes, and
I like to think so.
You give it to me straight, which is what I like. Sometimes, like I'll get into, we all get into that mode where it's like, we're feeling down, we feel like things aren't going our way. And then I call somebody like you, and you basically give me a smack in the face and tell me, you need to focus, you need to get back into it, and everything's going to be okay. And that will snap me out of it.
Sure.
I have other friends that, close friend of mine, and I could talk to that does the same thing with me, and very helpful. It's really helpful to have somebody. It's really helpful to have a mentor.
So after COVID, you started helping companies, business owners with the employee retention credit. So you've talked to hundreds and maybe thousands of business owners.
Thousands at this point.
What do you see as like missing from most business owners' lives, communities, network, skill sets that if they just had like these things, they would be more successful and wouldn't be getting into trouble with their finances?
Well, I think a mentor is really big.
Yeah. Most people don't have mentors.
They just, do it on their own. I think going back to somebody that's been there and done that is really, really helpful.
And even just having somebody talk, they probably don't have anybody to talk to at all, right?
Yep.
They probably got spouses that don't understand. Their family doesn't care. Their brother-in-law doesn't care. None of their friends care.
Always. It's the same story for every business.
They're just lonely.
Yep.
Yeah. So what would you tell somebody to look for when going out for that mentor?
Find somebody that knows your industry. Find somebody that's reputable. There are a lot of these fake gurus out there.
Sure. How would they spot one?
I know some personally that they know nothing about business and they're out preaching about business.
And so how would you help, without like saying, oh, this guy specifically, but like, how do you spot that? Like now that you've, been around the block, how do you go, I know this person's not what they say they are?
Just research. Social media, they're out there. You can do a lot of research on them. I'm sure you could find people that have worked with them. For you, somebody like how I found you, I followed you for probably 8 years.
From the fitness industry over, or
from Early to Rise.
Okay, just from Early to Rise.
So I found you from Early to Rise, and I just followed you, and I liked what you were. I loved the emails that you were sending out every week, and that motivated me. And at one point, I was like, okay, one day I'm going to work with Craig. Yeah. And eventually...
you did when you were running the gym. Before we got into all the wealth stuff.
I think that what it takes to actually go out and hire a mentor, you have to grow a pair. Basically, you need to take that step and just jump in. And people are scared to take that step. They're worried about money. They're worried about what it's going to do. But my advice is you need to jump in. You just need to say, hey, you know what? Whatever happens. Take that risk. And I think it's by far worth 10 times. It's worth its weight in gold. Yeah. The advice and the networking. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because you always say your favorite, my favorite line that you say all the time is your network is your net worth. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the truest thing I've ever heard. And, that's something that I've always been good at, building a network and, joining masterminds and meeting mentors. They introduce you to people and you just grow your network. Yeah, I'll just tell a quick story about, one of your big breakthroughs in the last couple of years is, Sal was doing really, really well with the IPO when everybody had a ton of stimulus money and, people were investing and the stock market was hot, and then that kind of cooled off. When was that? 2021? 2022, really. So early until 2021 and then early 2022. Yeah, and then you were kind of like, what to do next? Yeah. And someone from my network offered me, told me about the opportunity working with the employee retention credit. And I just, because I talk to you all the time, I was like, man, this is going to be perfect for Sal because, you know how to run Facebook ads and you know how to talk to people and you're good at persuading people. And so I told him about the employee retention credit. I thought you were going to get a few clients, and man, you just turned it into next level. So, walk us through that. I remember I really didn't have much going on at that time. I was out from FDNY because of the vaccine mandate. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is a time where I could figure out what I really want to do and take my next step. IPOs are basically right. I mean, no one was buying nothing. Yeah. No stocks were. Nobody was going public at that time. It was just a bad financial market. And you introduced me to Josh. Yeah. And you had told Josh that I'm going to be his ace. Oh, I did say that? Yes. I believe in you. So now I was like, okay, now I really need to kick it into a high gear. Yeah. Because I can't make Craig look bad. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. Well, I knew you had the skill set, right? Because you had been running Facebook ads for the IPO stuff. You were on the phone all the time. You cold calling. You were persuading people to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. And people were I sent a couple of clients to you, and they were happy as heck because you got them into great deals. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, you have all this stuff going for you. Plus, you had the time. And I actually knew from the CrossFit days, I mean, man, you can knock Sal down, but he's going to get up every single time. So I knew it wasn't a matter of mindset or follow through. But even then, you still went and did crazy numbers that blew me away. Yeah. So what happened was, because of my network that I've been growing, for the past 10, 15 years, I just, and this is what I recommend everybody to do. This is eventually when I write my book, this will be a big part of my book. Use your network. You need to use your network. People are so scared to use their network, and I don't know why. It's mind blowing to me because for me, it's like the first thing I think of. Yeah. First thing,
well, to me, like everybody, if you have a network of people, they have answers, and the bigger your network, the more answers they have, and the answers are just sitting there. It's like locked up in their brains, and it's incredible value. And all you have to do to unlock that value is just ask a question.
Just ask.
It's crazy.
People are so scared to ask that simple question. Yeah. So what I did was I crafted a template text that I did personalize. So it's not like I sent out a blanket text to each person or a blanket Facebook message or email. I basically personalized it, and I asked them, this is what I'm doing now. Do you know any? So the way I do it is to not ask them direct. I'll ask them, do you know any business owners that'll need my help? Right.
And so you painted the picture, like this is really valuable for a business owner. I can help them do this. All the benefit is to them. Do you happen to know anybody that wants all of this stuff? And of course, they were the person who needed the stuff.
And either they were the person or they did know somebody. Awesome. Or both. Yeah. Which is great.
Right. Because then you double your network.
I just started putting in application after application after application. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So then when I saw that it worked, and one thing that you mentioned I'm good at is Facebook ads. I learned from Alex Hormozy when we had the gyms. Yeah, we were one of his early gyms. Yeah, so I learned direct from him, and that was my part. My business partner in the gym was Alex Hormozy's sales guru. Okay, and my role was the ads guy, ads and marketing. Which I'm so thankful for that I did that, and I learned how to run Facebook ads, because whatever I use it for now, the return is just unbelievable. Right. So I was like, let me just test it out. Let me see if I could do any business with Facebook ads. And at that time, it was just me. I was a one-man show. So I tried a couple of different ways. I ran Facebook Messenger ads, and the response I got was amazing. For the first 4 or 5 months, I was getting 100x return on my money. Wow. So then that's when I had a couple of friends of mine that were in sales. And I said, hey, I got this amazing thing right now. Why don't you do it with me? So I partnered up with one. We got another sales rep. And then at that point, I hired my admin because I needed to keep track of everything. And we just grew from there, and I just had to keep on hiring sales reps. Yeah. And I built a full team and just kept on running the ads. And the ads didn't last. I mean, it went from 100x to 80x to 50 to 30. And eventually it was 5. And then eventually the market got completely saturated. But I might have been the first person to run ads for ERC.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, that is just the example of luck is preparation meets opportunity. You've been building this network, building this valuable skill set. And then you were just waiting for that opportunity to come along that you could just cash in on. And it's just an absolute perfect example of that. But probably the most important lesson is, you wouldn't be able to do most of that without the network.
I probably wouldn't be able to do any of it without the network.
Man, that's so powerful. So then from there, ERC was a government program that had a finite limit on it. It was ending at a certain time. And like you said, the competition got pretty fierce for it. And there's only a certain number of American businesses out there that qualify for it. And so now we're back to kind of where we were with the IPO stuff, which is, okay, now I need to find something new. Clearly you had learned a lot over those couple of years that you settled upon building this new business, Wealth Concierge Group. So why did you name it that?
So I named it Wealth Concierge Group because what's the reason that every business owner goes into business?
To work 80-hour weeks.
Yeah, it's not to work the 80-hour weeks. It's not to be away from your family. It's not to look at your bank account and pray for the next check to come in. We do this because we want wealth. We want to create wealth. And what is wealth? Wealth is freedom. It's financial freedom and it's personal freedom, right? It's security. Right, you want to be secure. You want to make sure that you never have to worry about making rent or paying your mortgage or taking your kids on vacation.
Right, you love going to Atlantis. I love it when you go to Atlantis.
Yeah, that's
okay.
the one. Yeah, Bahama. That's my spot.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly why you get into business, is for those opportunities.
Yeah.
And so that's what you do now. Like, what does Wealth Concierge Group do for people?
So this is why we did it. We wanted to make a one-stop shop for business owners to help them get to that phase of the wealth.
Okay.
Right. So we're all striving for that. That's what we all want. We all want to be wealthy, and we all want that financial freedom. We all want the security. We all want to be able to do things on our own time when we want, right? Not living by anybody else's rules.
Yep.
And we basically want to help you through each phase. So the startup phase, where you're going to be putting in the 80 hours, because that's what happens in the beginning. You know, you're a one-man show.
When you're
doing everything, you're figuring everything out. So we go from all the way from the beginning to helping you form your LLC, helping with funding. At that point, you may or may not. I would say hire a mentor right away. Yep. Some people wait until they get to the next phase to hire a mentor, but we'll help you get started. Then you'll hit phase 2, where you're rolling, you're growing. And that's where we highly recommend you hire a mentor at that point. Yeah. Then we have various tax credits and grants that we can help you with.
It's pretty amazing, like the grants that are out there. Like,
there's so much out there, and this is one thing that bothers me, is that your accountant, does typically basic accounting.
They're reactive,
right?
They're not
proactive. It's like your primary care doctor.
Yeah.
Your primary care doctor you go to when you have a cold, when you have something basic. But if you have to have shoulder surgery, you're not going to your primary care doctor. You're going to a specialist. Yeah. Right? That's what these tax credits and grants are. They're specialties. Mm-hmm. Your accountant likely maybe heard of it, doesn't know much about it, but he doesn't have time to learn every credit. There are so many out there. Yeah. And a lot of them are very time consuming and take a lot of work. Some of them don't even have to do with accounting, but you do get a tax break for adding something like, say, healthcare benefits, certain, preventative healthcare benefits, where you get a break on FICA tax. That's not something that an accountant does. Got it. That's something that's in the healthcare industry. So there are so many things out there that an accountant doesn't do, and that's what we do. We bring those to you. So we're not personally doing it. Yeah. But what we do is we partner up with companies that we vet and we feel are the best in the industry, and we'll refer you to that specific, for that specific credit.
What are the lowest hanging fruit grants and credits that are available to so many American businesses that they don't know about, that could really make an impact on their financial future? So
the number one we have right now available, it's for business owners. It's any industry. Yeah. So that's what I love about this one. It fits any industry. The only requirement is that you have 10 or more W-2 employees.
Okay. So 10 or more W-2 employees, any industry. And what is this grant called, and what does it do?
So it's a credit. It's preventative healthcare. Mm-hmm. It's based off of Section 125 and Section 104 of the IRS code. Okay. Adding preventative healthcare program to your business. So think of like big in the States is Aflac or Allstate. They do hospital plans. Okay. Where you get paid out for any injuries or hospital visits. So this is similar. So this was set up in a similar way. And the way it works is you provide benefits. So it could work for a company that provides medical coverage for their employees, or that doesn't. So it provides benefits like zero deductible, zero copay, primary care, urgent care, same thing with prescriptions, free telehealth, unlimited telehealth, unlimited mental telehealth, unlimited veterinary telehealth, dental and vision are getting added, and it's all done pre-tax. So because it's all done pre-tax, the business owner gets a 7.65% break on their FICA tax. Uh-huh. It works out to $576.30 per W-2 employee per year. Wow. And then the employee gets also, because it's done pre-tax, actually gets an increase in their take-home pay because they're paying less taxes. Got it. So it's like a trifecta. So I'm with the FDNY for 20 years. I've been a W-2 employee for over 20 years. And if somebody brought this to me and said, it's a trifecta for us. So basically, you're going to pay less taxes, you're going to increase your take-home pay, and you're getting all of these extra benefits to typical
It's a
fireman,
win-win-win.
we're going out to the bar and we're drinking and celebrating after for something like that, right?
Got it.
It sounds like something that's too good to be true, which is what we get a lot. But once you see what it is and learn about it, you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Okay.
And the IRS was actually trying to get rid of this. And something just came down a couple of weeks ago, which is amazing for our industry, was that the IRS was trying to change the way that it gets taxed so that the employee and the employer don't get these tax breaks.
Yeah.
But the Department of Labor and the Department of Health and Human Services basically shot them down. And they're protecting the employees and the business owners. They say that this has been going on like this for almost 50 years now. Companies like Aflac and Allstate, big insurance companies, have been doing this. Like, it's not changing. It's completely staying as is. They're allowed to do this, and basically shot down the IRS.
Got it. So that's the second stage. So you got the beginner that comes into you, and you help them with the LLC setup and that sort of stuff. Now they're the business is growing. They've got a mentor. They're looking for these opportunities to save money. They're making all this money. You got to save all the money because a lot of it can go out. What's the third stage after the beginner and the growth stages?
So then that's the wealth stage, right? That's where I'm making money. Now, what do I do with this money?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem we create in our coaching business is we have all these clients come in not making money. We help them make all this money, and then now they're complaining to me, Craig, I don't know what to do with my money.
So that's where I was last year.
Yeah, right. After
I was at that point last year, and I was like, okay, now what do I do? And that's when you introduced me to a few people like Chris Lawson and Vikram, and I just started.
They're in multifamily
speaking.
Real estate.
Yep, I started speaking to people that do generate passive income.
Yep.
So that's where we guide them through that phase. Like, what do you do with the money? How do you create passive income? And we're partnering with real estate syndications, life insurance. That's a really cool thing to do. And
right.
I actually just use that. So I put $100,000 into my life insurance policy, and now I can take that out as a loan. I'm still collecting interest on that.
Is that the infinite banking?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I put that into something that I may not be offering clients, but you'll see once you start investing, you start meeting other investors that are doing different things. And I'm doing a cool investment now. It's more of like a personal thing. I wouldn't really offer it to clients, at least not at this point,
right?
Where I'm making really high interest on it.
tell them what it is, because it's pretty funny.
It is really cool. So it's a couple of buddies of mine that I've been doing business with. One of them is a really close friend of mine. I consider him like a mentor too. They work with a guy that is an exotic car dealer out of Miami. And he basically rents cars out and he flips cars to other dealers.
Not physically flipping them. He's not a stuntman.
But he basically, what we do is we front him the money, and
he goes and buys the cars, and
buys cars, flips them, and then we get a really nice return on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's probably something you wouldn't recommend to somebody, but that's just like the mindset of the opportunity. There's so many ways to get your money to work for you.
Yeah. So we'll give you the ways that we'll introduce you to people to get your money to work for you, and that just opens up more doors, because when you do things like that, you start seeing other opportunities. Right. Other opportunities that you wouldn't see because you're not really looking, but now you're doing real estate, you're working with financial advisors, you're doing infinite banking, and now you start seeing other opportunities. Or you're in that network now. Yeah. And that network, people in that network are doing these things.
Well, right. I mean, like, I've known Josh. Josh Ziglowski, who brought us the ERC program. He came to one of my events in 2018 or 19. I have no idea. I think he read my book. I don't know how he found my book. And, all these people come into my world through books and newsletters and stuff like that. And they all bring with them their own networks and their own opportunities. And, he just out of the blue gave me this opportunity. It was perfect timing for you. I connected it. Like, that just makes me so happy when I'm able to do that. But if you just grow up, like if I just grew up on the farm in Canada and like, okay, my options are work in a factory, be a farmer, maybe my mom wanted to become an accountant, and I would have just followed these simple paths and not knowing, because you're just naive. You're in the dark unless you grow that network.
Exactly. You just don't know. If I didn't grow my network, I wouldn't know about these opportunities. Yeah, I wouldn't know how to create passive income the right way. I wouldn't have anybody guiding me. I wouldn't have anything that I'm doing now.
Yeah, it's like the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. The Robert Kiyosaki only knew his poor dad ways until he met the rich dad, which showed him the opportunities and away you go. So, Sal, this is awesome. I love your story. I just think that you're one of the most inspiring people to me because you're a dad, you got 2 girls, and I just see like all the crap that you've fought through in the last 5 years, and all the stuff that you continue to go through, and just it doesn't matter if you got COVID like 3 times 1 year.
Twice, yeah. So the crazy thing is I didn't get it until 2022. I went that whole time not getting it. I thought I was immune.
And then we
went away on vacation, and I got it while I was on vacation.
Oh, and then you got pretty hard. You got hit pretty hard.
And then I got hit again. And actually, yeah, but
and you kept on working through it, man. You're just showing up every week with the accountability and blowing me away. So I think people are going to be really inspired by your story today, and also really pumped up to know that there's ways to make their money work for them. There's ways for them to keep more money and grow it. So how did they get a hold of you at Wealth Concierge?
So the easiest thing to do, the easiest thing to remember is trustwcg.com. Trustwcg.com. You'll see, take a look at our services. We have a lot of stuff that's coming soon. I couldn't do everything at once.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have that, ADD and just throw everything in there. So we're slowly adding and adding and adding. But if there's a service on there that you don't see, I likely already have a partnership with somebody in the works, and we could always connect you to that person.
But the most important thing, if you have 10 W-2 employees and you want to save money on your taxes and you want your employees to take home more money, you need to contact Sal about the tax, payroll, health tax thing, which she is helping so many people with right now, because it's just a win-win-win situation. More benefits, more take-home money for your employees, and more savings for you. So that again is trustwcg.com.
Yes.
So trustwealthconciergegroup.com. Awesome, Sal. This has been really, really great. You inspire me every single day, my man.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to your future success.
Thank you so much.